Welcome back to Silent Guide. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most perplexing and spine-chilling mysteries in transportation history. It's a story that defies logic, challenges our understanding of time and space, and leaves us with more questions than answers. This is the incredible tale of the train that vanished into thin air and then reappeared decades later. Our story begins on a bright summer day in 1911. A brand new luxury train, known as Zanetti Train No. 117, was embarking on a special sightseeing trip for wealthy Italian families. Over 100 passengers, dressed in their finest clothes, eagerly boarded the train, ready for a scenic journey through the picturesque Lombardy mountains. The mood was festive, filled with excitement and anticipation. The train itself was a marvel of modern engineering, and its destination was a newly constructed tunnel meant to be a highlight of the trip. The tracks were clear, the weather was perfect, and there were absolutely no reported issues. It was supposed to be a flawless, memorable journey. But as the train approached the mountain tunnel, something utterly bizarre happened. Onlookers and relatives waiting on the other side watched as the train chugged steadily towards the dark entrance. It entered the tunnel, its whistle echoing through the valley. And then it never emerged. Seconds turned into minutes, and minutes into an hour. The crowd grew restless, then worried. Something was terribly wrong. Railway workers, sensing a potential disaster, immediately ran into the tunnel, expecting to find the scene of a catastrophic derailment. But when they got inside, they found nothing. Absolutely nothing. The tunnel was empty. There was no train, no wreckage, no debris. The tracks were perfectly intact, with no signs of damage. There wasn't even any smoke or the smell of burning coal. It was as if a 100-ton locomotive and its 100 passengers had simply been erased from existence. The Italian government launched one of the most extensive search operations in the country's history. They scoured every inch of the railway line, checked every possible sidetrack and exit, and interrogated witnesses in every nearby town. The tunnel itself was examined from end to end, but it was just a solid, half-mile passage through a mountain. There were no hidden turn-offs, no secret caverns, no way for a train to go anywhere but straight through. Yet there was no trace of Train 117 or any of its passengers. What made the case even more baffling was the complete lack of physical evidence. There were no sounds of a crash reported by anyone nearby. No debris was ever found along the tracks. It was a complete and total vanishing act, leaving investigators with no clues, no leads, and a mystery that seemed impossible to solve. The official investigation was eventually closed, concluding that the train and all aboard were lost, but without any explanation as to how. Then, the story gets even stranger. According to local legend, 2 passengers actually managed to escape the train just before it entered the tunnel. They were later found in a state of shock, rambling incoherently about a thick milky white fog that suddenly enveloped the train. They described a terrifying, suffocating sensation and a low humming sound that grew louder and louder. Panicked, they jumped from the moving train just as it was swallowed by the tunnel and the mysterious fog. Their accounts were largely dismissed at the time as hysteria, but they add a chilling layer to the puzzle. Now, let's fast forward 50 years to 1961. In a small rural station in Ukraine, thousands of miles away from Italy, a station master reported something unbelievable. He was going about his daily duties when he saw a train slowly rolling onto a section of unused track. It wasn't just any train. It was old, rusted, and covered in a thick layer of dirt and grime, looking like something straight out of a history book. Its design was completely foreign, unlike any locomotive used in the region. The station master, completely bewildered, approached the strange arrival. As he got closer, he wiped away some of the dirt from the front of the engine. There, in faded metal numbers, he saw it. 117. He cautiously boarded the phantom train. The inside was a time capsule. The passenger cars were eerily empty, but signs of life were everywhere. Half-eaten meals sat on tables, luggage was still stored in the overhead racks, and newspapers dated from the summer of 1911 were scattered on the seats. It was as if the passengers had just stepped out for a moment, but they were gone. Every single one of them had vanished. But the most inexplicable detail of all? When the station master touched the engine, it was still warm, as if it had been running just moments before it mysteriously appeared on his tracks. How could a train from 1911, which had been missing for half a century, reappear in a different country with its engine still warm? Naturally, this bizarre event sparked a flurry of theories. Investigators tried to rationalize the event, suggesting the train had somehow taken an unknown, forgotten railway route that connected Italy to Ukraine. But no such tracks existed, and no map could explain how it traveled thousands of miles undetected. Other experts, venturing into more paranormal territory, brought up the idea of time distortion. They theorized that the tunnel might have been a gateway, a wrinkle in space-time similar to the Bermuda Triangle, that caused the train to slip through time and space only to re-emerge 50 years later. Some speculated that the passengers might have encountered something so horrifying inside the tunnel that they all jumped from the train before its final destination. But if that were the case, where were the bodies? No human remains were ever discovered along the original route or near its reappearance point. A more fantastical theory suggests the train didn't just travel through time, but crossed into another dimension entirely. In this view, the train and its passengers entered a parallel reality, and for some unknown reason, the empty train was sent back decades later. To this day, the fate of Train 117 and its 106 souls remains one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. How did a massive train disappear from a sealed tunnel without leaving a single trace? Where did the passengers go, and what did they experience in their final moments? And most importantly, how did an empty, ghost-like train reappear 50 years later and a continent away, with its engine still humming with warmth? The Zanetti train incident is a haunting reminder that there are phenomena in this world that we simply cannot explain. Some mysteries, it seems, are destined to remain unsolved forever, serving as a testament to how strange and unpredictable our world truly is. Thank you for watching this episode of Silent Guide. If you find these unsolved stories as fascinating as we do, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into the unknown. We'll see you in the next mystery.